Chatham Journal. I got Asheebo. Actually, he's on that side for some reason. Usually he's on that side, but I have no control over this. This is all technical kind of stuff. We've got a bunch of stuff to talk about. Asheebo's got a bunch of information coming up. And unfortunately, yeah, it uploaded the agenda for things. But where we usually start is we usually start with football. So that's where we're going to start right now. We had the game on Friday. We're at the Seaport at Barley NC.
Yeah, the C4 Bartley NC game. It was a tight battle to begin with. Jalen Neal from Bartley NC got the Buccaneers on the board twice to start the game, and it put them up 12 time. And right at the halftime buzzer, C4's kicker JT Deloach kicked in 3 points to put them on the board. So, in the first half, it was close, but C4 just kind of some mistakes. Not getting in front of the chains, kind of going backwards on first downs. And then in the second half, they got the run game going. It really got it going in the second half. Also, the defense really played well the whole night. So that really helped them out in coming back in the second half and winning that game 17-12. That was a big win for the program. That was the first senior football night in the program's history. Coach Amy had the big pyrotechnics out with the fire and the flames, the players coming out to the game. So really high energy there that night for senior night, and a really good win for the seniors that have started. They started at the beginning of the program and got to finish off their career on a high note because they won't be playing in the playoffs. But other games around Chatham County, we got Jordan Matthews. They won their last game of the season against Graham, 22-12. And that was their largest margin of victory since beating East Chapel Hill 24-0 in 2021. I did some research on that one. And, for that one, Rajay Torres really got going, with the passing game, 11 passes completed for 139 yards and a touchdown. Neil Wiley had a great game. Rushing, too, he had 143 yards on the ground, and he also caught a touchdown. So, really, really nice end to the season for Jordan Matthews to have their probably the most productive offensive game. It looks to be one of their best defensive games of the season, holding Graham to just 12 points. And then Chatham Central and Northmore for Chatham Central's last game of the season. They fell to the Mustangs 42-8. And in that one, Chatham Central, I was talking to Coach Little on Monday. They really hung around in the first quarter and really in the first half. Played well with Northmore, who was a physical team, run heavy. They run that wing T offense very well. But Northmore pulled away there in the second half. All their touchdowns, of course, came on the ground out of that wing T formation. So just and the funny thing is Chatham Central will be playing Northmore again Friday for the first round of the 1A playoffs. And despite going 0-10, Chatham Central got in based on their RPI standings and how the last week of football shook out there. So Chatham Central, they're going into that one. Coach Little, he wants to throw the ball more in that one because that's what they do best. You saw that's kind of where they've been most successful this season, and we'll see how that game will be different. Same place, same time this coming Friday.
So you think that Chatham Central, again, you mentioned Northmore beat Chatham Central 42-8. You think that might be a little bit closer? Do you get a feeling Coach Little's got them pumped up for this game? Their season hasn't gone quite the way they wanted to, but they are in the playoffs, which a lot of teams don't get into. So what's your feeling as to how the team's feeling going into this game?
I think the team will be feeling very good. I talked to Coach Little that same conversation I had with him Monday, and I asked him, how is the team approaching this game? And he said, his seniors, his players, they're ready for this game. They're treating it like, a playoff game, approaching it, like they want to go in and win this game, like they have going in, week out, and they've been improving since game one to now. You can see it; it's tangible out there on the field. They're making plays. They're getting the ball down the field. It's just executing on a more consistent basis. That's been the struggle for them this year. Is why they've been kind of coming up short in some of these games because they've been close in a couple of these games to get in from a couple of plays from being 0-10 to maybe 3-7. So I think this game will be closer. I think Coach Little will do a good job of making the adjustments and utilizing his pass game more in this game and exposing the Northmore defense there because they found some success there on Friday night. So I think it will be a little closer, but I still think Northmore will still advance to the second round.
Yeah, on the Jordan Matthews game, this is post game. Coach Gary got the Gatorade shower there from his players, and it's interesting because I don't know if you're standing there. I think you were towards the end when he's talking to his players. He choked up. I mean, that's his first team with seniors on it, and I saw moms choking up when they were introducing the seniors early on, but I think Coach Little choked up a little bit there, or was I just saying there's something I didn't see?
No, Coach Gary was definitely emotional after that game, and I'm sure I see why. Like we said, those were the seniors that started with him the first year in C4's history, did the JV season, then the 2 years of varsity. Last year, it was a struggle. They only had 2 wins last year, but this year they really saw the growth, put the work in. They got 4 wins on the season, so they set a new single season wins record. And then to cap it off on the first senior night, with a win like that, come from behind against Bartley Yancey that had some talented players, especially Jalen Neal. He was a very good receiver. And shout out to Nicholas Glover, who was on him some. He did a pretty good job of covering him down the stretch in that game. Even got his sixth interception of the season. So they're going to be returning a lot of good players. Unfortunately, some of their seniors that were really good for them this year will be leaving, but also they have a great squad down there at JV that was 63 this season and have been playing well pretty much all year. So things are looking very good for C4's football future. I'll say that. Yeah,
I'll definitely have to agree with you. And again, they'll be the 4th year of existence. And like you said, with the JV looking good, I would have to share those experiences. I also got a picture of Coach Gary and his family before the game. So it was a good atmosphere at that game. First senior night game. Coach Jason Amy got some pyrotechnics, as you said. There were flames, and that was neat because I've seen that group, Mr. Jackson and his group, do it at Duke football games, and he did it here at a high school game. And that was neat for me to see the players really enjoy that. All right, playoffs. This Friday, Chatham Central is playing at Northmore. I think I have to agree with you. It's there. I don't see Chatham Central winning this game. Maybe it gets a little bit closer. But you and I'm going to be taking pictures. You're going to be on the sidelines. Northwood at Lewisburg. It's Northwood at 7-3 versus Lewisburg 5-5. I'm thinking Northwood's got a pretty good chance of winning this. What's your feeling and what's your analysis going into this game? What does Northwood have to do to win this game?
Well, to win this game, I feel like Northwood just has to play. It's Brandon football that has played, probably the past 4 weeks of the season. They're going to get Carson Fortunes back healthy, Antoine Brewington healthy, so they'll be full strength coming into this game. I think Lewisburg, looking at their record, they're 5-5, and they're a pretty good team. But, they haven't really beaten a team, with as good as record resume as Northwood. So I think Northwood, unfortunately, they just had the lower seed with kind of how the conference and the last couple of weeks of the season shook out. But I think if they just play how they've been playing the last couple of weeks, physical up in the run game as well as spreading the ball out in the pass game, they've been doing a very good job of that. Even with sophomore quarterback Grayson Cox back there, he's been finding open receivers. So I think they really have a chance to come in, make a statement here in the first round against Lewisburg and advance to the second round on Friday.
Yeah, I saw Carson. He was with Gus Ritchie at the NC State game this past Saturday. He mentioned that he was going to be playing for it, and I don't know if he's going to do as much running, but I think he's again a good quarterback. And it looks like the Lewisburg quarterback is one of the running quarterback as well. However, if you look at the stats, I think on average Northwood does score more per game than Lewisburg. But you're going to be out there, and I'm going to pop this up because I want to let folks know that if you don't make it to the game, be out there. And this man tweets during games. So there's his Twitter account, Asheebo R38. I'm going to leave that up, so you need to write that down. Get your phone out and put that into your Twitter, and just make sure you follow him. He does a great job on it. The previous let me put it this way. I don't think you spend a lot of time up in the press box. You're out there on the sideline. He's watching the action. He's moving along as the ball's moving along. I think Ashebo's doing a great job. So that's going to wrap it up for the football. Unless you got something else to add, Ashebo, then if you're okay with that, let's talk about volleyball playoffs. It's over pretty much for all of the. It is over for all the Chatham County teams. You want to give a quick rundown as to how the playoff season went for the volleyball teams here in Chatham County?
Yeah, very successful. 2 deep runs here from Woods Charter. I think they went to the 3rd round, and of course the deepest was Seaford, who lost in the 4th round. But unfortunately, like you said, all those runs have come to an end. Probably the biggest story from the volleyball playoffs for Chatham County was Northwood's run at a 29 seed. They come in and beat. I think I forgot the first seed they played. Probably was it a 3 seed? I think
it was either 3 or 4. Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, they beat some really good teams to get all the way to the 3rd round. Unfortunately, they lost to Midway in that round, 0-3. But they were the longest standing team out of any seed below 14, I think, by round 3. So definitely the biggest Cinderella run of the 2A bracket. And for Seaford, I was actually kind of surprised with how they lost, in straight sets to Camden County. But I'm sure Camden County was a really good team. Fortunately, I couldn't make it out to that one out there on the coast. But I figured that the competition would get tougher for the Hawks as they got deeper into the playoffs, and it did. Because they weren't challenged too much in the conference play, and then when they did play out of conference teams early on, that's where they got their first few losses. But still, they had a great season. They got a great future because they're 2 heavy hitters. Allie Forbes, a freshman, Kira Rosenmarkle, a sophomore. They're still young. So and Merritt's Honeycutt, I think, is coming back as well. She's a junior, so a great setter coming back. They have a really solid core that I think they can bounce back next year and make another deep run, possibly for a state championship run.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you on that. The other thing too, Woods Charter's only got 1 senior graduating, so they should be in a pretty good position next year. Northwood, I'm not sure how many seniors they have graduating, but they have a bunch of players coming back next year. I also want to give a shout out to JM. They got taken out in the 1st round by Seaforth, but JM beat Northwood twice during the regular season. Their coaches also talked about creating a pre-high school volleyball league in in Siler City. So I think that's an up and coming program. The other thing too is even though they lost that 1st round game to Seaford, a lot of the girls and a lot of the parents were proud of the fact that Jordan Matthews had gotten to the 1st round of the playoffs in volleyball because they hadn't done that in a long, long time. So I know it was a tough loss. I actually got a group shot of the girls, and I said, you know what, you got to consider the fact that there's a lot of teams that don't get this so far. So I think next year, if you're a volleyball fan of high school volleyball here in Chatham County, next year should be an interesting year. So any other things you want to add on volleyball, Ashebo?
Yeah, a couple of things. Also, talk about Jordan Matthews. They really climbed back, at the end of the season to get into the playoffs because, a few weeks before, it wasn't looking like that was in the picture. But like you said, they picked up some big wins. I think Northwood was one of them, and they just kept making the plays down the stretch to get to where they got. Also, Coach Austin, like you said, starting the Chatham United Volleyball Club. For kids before high school or in high school that want to develop their game. He really cares about the sport. He really loves doing it. So I think like you said, in a year or two, they will be a pretty good program coming out of Jordan Matthews. And also wanted to give a shout out to Kelsey Hussey out of Chatham Central. Their setter, she's a senior. A couple weeks ago, she reached 1,000 career assists. And I think in the 1st round, Coach Walden told me in the 1st round against Woods Charter, she actually broke the school assist record. So she is now the Chatham Central volleyball assist leader with 1,074 assists. So congratulations to Kelsey Hussey on that one.
Yep. And the interesting thing is I heard some people say, well, you got 2 Chatham County, well, in 2 cases, you have 2 Chatham County schools playing each other. I think it worked out nice in that the parents got to see those. They didn't get to travel. Yeah, you lose to another Chatham County schools, but I think, as you said, next year should be an interesting year for volleyball. All right, let's talk about the other interesting thing going on. We've got soccer, high school soccer playoffs. That just started. There is another, again, a surprise on the Northwood side. JM's going strong, and then the other teams. Let's get into soccer. Give us a rundown of what's going on in the soccer playoffs.
Yeah, so in the first round, in the 1A first round, fortunately, Woods Charter and Chatham Charter both lost to their opponents. Woods Charter lost to Excelsior Classical 2-4, and Chatham Charter lost to East Wake Academy 4-1. And we talked about those two programs this season. You know, it was a struggle at the beginning, but both teams really picked up some wins late in the season to push themselves into playoff positions. They got some lower seeds, but they were in there. Woods Charter actually got up to as high as 20. So they had a great season, great finish to the season for them. In the 2A bracket, Seaford was the one team to lose in the first round. They lost to Midway 0-1. They had a really great season as well. I was at their game when they beat Jordan Matthews at home a couple of weeks ago, and Jack Hayes, really strong goalkeeper. They got some really, really strong young players, sophomore and freshmen, that are aggressive, can compete at the varsity level with some of the best in the conference and in the county. So I think they'll be a pretty good team next year and a couple years down the road as well. And Jordan Matthews, of course, they handled South Lenore 7-1 in the first round, and they'll be hosting St. Paul's on Thursday, 19 seed St. Paul's. And Northwood, they won as well over Granville Central 3-1. And in that one, Patrick Bucaro scored a hat trick in the win. Great game for him and great game for Northwood as they go to number 8 Bunn on Thursday. So those are your two second round matchups for Chatham County. Just two left in there. I think Jordan Matthews, the way they've been playing the last couple of weeks, I can see them, making the state playoff run. I don't want to jinx them, but I can see them getting there.
Yeah, I don't think you're jinxing them. Folks that have been in this county long enough and seen Coach Kudros over there with the JM team knows that once playoff season starts, they amp it up a notch. And as you said, they've won their game 7-1. They're strong, and I think they're going to keep that stuff going. The Northwood win was what I was a bit surprised about the Seaforth loss. I figured they would have gone through at least the first round because of the way, as you mentioned, the way that they've been playing. But I think they'll be back again next year, so that should be okay. Anything else you need to say on soccer?
No, I think we got it. Like you said, Seaforth, they were one of those teams that also kind of climbed back in the second half of the season to get themselves in the playoffs. And yeah, and I agree with you. I was a little surprised by that loss, but they'll learn from it, I'm sure, and come back stronger next season.
All right. Do we jump into what news stories you're covering in the paper this week, or do you want to jump to the cross-country state meet that's coming up on Saturday?
Yeah, I can just do a quick rundown of what's coming out in the paper this week between today and tomorrow. So, of course, we got the final football roundup, the Seaforth and Bartley Yancey game story there about their last senior night, kind of the events from that game and the comeback win. And then we have, of course, a summary of the playoffs from the past week. And in the paper this week, we have a football playoff preview. It's a question and answer with both Coach Johnson of Northwood and with Coach Little of Chatham Central, just their expectations and how they're feeling going into these this first round of the state playoffs. So make sure you grab a copy today and read about that. And, of course, Athlete of the Week. Gene, if you want to go ahead and get into it, because this will be a perfect transition to cross country. But Athlete of the Week this week is Jack Anstrom from the Seaforth men's cross country team. He's just been dominant here in the postseason. In the 2A Mid-East Regional, he won the individual race with a time of 15:44.55, and his first place time, was 44 seconds faster than the second place runner. And that's his second straight first place finish in the 2A Mid-East Regional. So he will be in the state championships on Saturday representing Seaforth, who really on the men's side, they're really trying to go for the state championship, looking at first place or second place there. So expect big things from Seaforth, men and women's too, on Saturday.
I think the women's side is strong. When I talked to Coach Eisenhower at Northwood, um, his boys team hasn't done as well this year as they did last year, but he's got a couple of individuals that will probably finish up strong, and he's got several girls that will finish up strong. So I think from that perspective, those results I know they're racing on Saturday. The results on those individual and team performances should be out later on that afternoon or that next day. Okay, you mentioned athlete of the week, so we got track and field covered up. Anything on tennis and golf? Because those playoffs are pretty much, I think, if they're not wrapped up, will be wrapping up this week. Is that correct?
Yeah, golf is finished. I think they finished yesterday. Teddy Taylor from Woods Charter was the only Chatham County golfer for the state championships there, and I think she finished 21st, tied 21st, or no, 22nd actually, in the state championship. So fortunately, she didn't win it, but congrats to her to get in there and represent in Chatham County and her school at Woods Charter. And then for tennis, fortunately, I think Seaford was the deepest duels team, and they lost in the 4th round to NCSSM Durham. Another great season. Coach Atkins came in the middle of the year and, just kept it rolling. They were pretty much dominant in the conference, and carried that into the playoffs. Fortunately, they couldn't get all the way there, but they have they have a strong team, and I expect them to do big things in a couple years as well. About to see who else in tennis. Oh yeah, it was plenty of tennis representation in the state championship. So here for Chatham Charter in the 1A singles state championships, Elfie Spillman and Mac Allen represented the Knights. Unfortunately, they both lost in the first round. And then Chatham Central's Rachel Albright and Lauren Cavanagh lost in the first round of the 1A double state championships. And then the first round of the 2A state singles, Seaforth's Evelyn Atkins and Northwood's Ryan Tinervin both lost their first round matches. And in 2A doubles, Seaforth's Lauren Keeley and Ella Gentile both lost in the first round. So a lot of first round exits, but congrats to them for, once again, representing Chatham County and their schools in the state championships. They had some great seasons, and we'll be looking forward to what they do in the future. So that's a wrap on women's tennis and golf there.
All right, before we get into where you're going to be for the rest of the week, we know we're going to be on Friday. We got coming up, you've been working on it for several weeks, but you've got something big coming up in next week's paper. What's the big preview you got coming up? And can you give us a little bit of a preview on the preview you're doing next week?
Yeah, so I've been trying to think of what I want to get in there. Definitely want to get some individual team previews and one thing, some quick hitters for each team on the men and women's side. Also some features. I know we got some new coaches coming in, especially at Seaforth men's side. We got some big names coming back again for Chatham County basketball, and want to highlight those guys. So those guys and girls as well. So, just expect previews, features. I'm thinking about doing the power rankings for basketball. I know it's going to be really competitive. It's a lot of good teams. So the power rankings between the Mid-Carolina teams and the Central Tar Heel teams, just to get some people talking, week by week. But we'll see. I
like that idea. Now, are you going to do the power rankings on the conferences, or are you going to do the power rankings on the Chatham County teams, or are you going to kind of combine them all together?
It will just be Chatham County teams, but it'll be all together, because Central Tar Heel, it's just two, and so I think it'll be better if I'll just put them all together, and include the charter schools with Northwood, Seaforth, and JM. So we'll see how that.
I like that idea. There's going to be some folks that will disagree with you, but that's part of the appeal of power ranking, because your power ranking, you're not as Ashebo. Okay, and as Ashebo mentioned, I think there's going to be a whole bunch of good basketball in this county this coming year. Speaking of which, I'm just going to give folks, I am working on possibly, we're going to do an hour live stream on just basketball coming up maybe next week. I've just got to work out the logistics of it. trying to get it where Asheebo, myself, and some of you folks may know Coach Barry, who coached at Woods Charter, also as a JV coach at Seaforth. We may get together and just spend an hour just talking about all the teams in Chatham County that are going to be playing basketball this year and how they stack up, because it's good. If you love basketball, this is a year to pay attention to what's going on in high school basketball. Now, Asheboo, when you're gonna be at the basketball games, you're gonna be tweeting as well, just like you are at football games, right?
Yes. Yep. We're gonna do the same thing.
All right. Now where's Asheebo gonna be? You're gonna be in a Northwood game. Any other plans? What are you doing tonight?
Yeah, tomorrow night, actually, I will be at Jordan Matthews' second round because I missed the first round game. So catch some soccer action. I think they're playing. We just talked about it, and I forgot. But yeah, they're playing. Yeah, they're hosting St. Paul, so I'll be there for that. I think that one starts at 6:00. Expecting the Jordan Matthews win, but I'll be there reporting and tweeting. I'll talk to Coach Quadros after the game and a player, and do business as usual tomorrow.
All right. So tomorrow's soccer, Friday's football. You still don't know what you're going to be doing next week, right?
Yeah, not yet.
All right, because we got to see how JM does. Northwood's got their game tomorrow night too, but that is away. All right, so folks, we're gonna wrap it up here. Hey, thanks for watching. We're getting about 300 views on Facebook. A lot of you folks are letting like right now we get anywhere from a half a dozen folks. Appreciate it. If you like what you see, let other folks know, because we actually get more views after the live stream than we do during the live stream itself. We're also on Twitter, so you can also watch this on Twitter and on YouTube. Again, YouTube is more out there for archival purposes, but our big viewership is primarily on Facebook, and then Twitter is. I was actually kind of surprised when we started feeding it to Twitter, but people are paying attention to that as well, which is pretty nice. So we're going to wrap it up here. Let me just get this up here. There we go. We're going to finish up. This was what I was supposed to show at the beginning. There we go. That is the rundown as to what we were talking about. Folks, we will see you next week. We'll give you more information if we're going to do that hour basketball preview in person. And thank you so much for watching. And we're going to end this stream getting ready to go.